Welcome back. All right, so time for power rankings of the goaltenders. I've not done that yet this year. I'm pretty sure I started it earlier last year, doing the player power rankings every second Wednesday. Of course, the other Wednesdays are reserved for your panic index. But today I'm power ranking goaltenders 1 through 16. Basically, the rule for this that I followed, the guy has to be either an emerging starter or the starter. I didn't throw in backups. So, for instance, Casey DeSmith's had good numbers. David Riddick's had fantastic numbers. But for the purpose of these rankings, I want to rank starters, which means with Minnesota, I was left saying, is Wallstead the starter or Gustafsson the starter? I think it's pretty obvious who the starter should be right now. So, in terms of rankings, that's the way I went with it. I also want to give an honorable mention to Thatcher Demko. Demko, I left off. His numbers were close. He could have been justified to be in this range. But the injuries, I don't necessarily trust it, which is why it's odd that I left Hellebuck on. But Hellebuck, it's an injury that's considered to be one that, he had surgery, 4 to 6 weeks should be 100%. And Hellebuck's numbers have been stronger than almost everybody else's. So, with all of that preamble out of the way, let's go ahead and put up at 16 a goaltender from Pittsburgh. So I'll put the name on the board, and then I'll explain. And it is Shelov's. It is correct. Shelov's has saved 5.8 goals saved above expected, according to Money Puck. Money Puck is where I go for this information. It is 0.694 goals saved per 60 minutes above expected. And over his last 10 games, he saved 3.3 above expected. His quality starts number, 63.6%, meaning 63.6% of the time Shelov starts, he puts up a save percentage of 900 or greater. So the overall numbers for Shelov's have been very good. Kudos to him for playing well. And, with Jari out, he's the starter at this point. Number 15, it's a goaltender for Columbus. And I would imagine Columbus fans would be very surprised if it wasn't Greaves, though Elvis has had his good games here and there. Greaves, the numbers for him, 8.8 goals saved above expected, 0.616 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes played, 3.5 goals saved above expected his last 10 games, and 64.3% of the time he starts, he gives them a quality start. So there's two teams right there that have had pretty good goaltending so far this season. Number 14, for Dallas, it's Ottinger. Even though DeSmith has also had good numbers, and it would have just made it a mess if I'd put all the backups in here too. Number 14, Ottinger, 5.5 goals saved above expected overall this season. 0.343 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. Weighed him down. The reality is with Ottinger, he can be excellent. He can be pedestrian. He is very unpredictable. Over his last 10 games, 4.8 goals saved above expected, and he gives them a quality start 50% of the time he plays. Quality starts get weird when we get to number one, and we'll get there, but Ottinger, the 50% quality starts, it's about right. I do think he can play better, which is insane considering the kind of record Dallas has, and Ottinger's considered an excellent goaltender, and he still could be better. Number 13, and this is where I had to make up my mind, okay, which one am I going to rank? And I think it's the guy who's on his way to being the unquestioned starter in Minnesota, and that's Wallstead. Yeah, I can't talk up Wallstead as much as I have the last couple of weeks, and I have Wallstead on here. Although Gustafsson's numbers have been good as well, but for Wallstead, 6.2 goals saved above expected. Per 60 minutes, 0.751, so that's a pretty high number right there. He has not quite played 10 games yet. He's played 8. So it is a little bit dodgy for me to include Wallstead, but at this point, I do consider him Minnesota's starter, and all he does is shut everybody out. 87.5% of the time he starts, he gives you 90% save percentage or better. So that quality start number of 87.5, that's pretty good. That's I don't know if that's sustainable, but at this point in time, Wallstead's number 13. Number 12 on the list, we're going to Anaheim. So if it's Anaheim, it has got to be Dostal. I want to say too, I do find it funny when I do lists and they're based 90% on numbers, and then I rank them out the way I think that this kind of works. Dostal, for instance, in Anaheim, big part of the reason why Anaheim's relevant, on top of just so many good young players on that roster. And yeah, number 12 for Dostal. 10.1 goals saved above expected, 0.592 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, courtesy of Money Puck. Over his last 10 games, 11.5 goals, no, 4.3 goals saved above expected. So, since he had 4.3 goals saved above expected over his last 10 games, I ranked him a little bit lower than I would have if he'd had that one that I accidentally read on the line there. I got to find a better way to do this. 58.8% of the time that he starts, he gives them a quality start. So the quality starts number a little bit lower, and his most recent success not being quite what it was earlier in the year, but still, Anaheim's playing pretty well. Dostal is a big part of that. Let's just hold on to the marker, shouldn't I? Number 11, Colorado. Yep, everybody knows who this is. And it's insane how far Wedgwood's come from when he was in Nashville, and I remember people saying, he's done. He's not going to make it. And the thing is, it's not the first stop Wedgwood's made in his career where people have said, it's not that great. Wedgwood's going to be a fascinating career video when the day comes that his career's done. Wedgwood, 9.0 goals saved above expected. Pretty good. 0.553 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. Over the last 10 games, 4.4 goals saved above expected. 64.7% of the time that he starts, he gives the Colorado Avalanche a quality start. Wedgwood, to me, has been just solid when he's needed to be. Colorado doesn't need him to be a world stopper or world beater, but he's good. He's good enough for them to get the wins, and definitely helped while Blackwood was out injured that Wedgwood could play just every game. So nothing but respect for Wedgwood. He stands just outside the top 10. Oddly enough, the top 10, there was a time where I would wear a Philadelphia Flyers jersey to talk about goaltending, just to be ironic. Those days are done. Vladar has been remarkable. We've always seen these flashes. Definitely in Calgary, we saw these flashes with Vladar, what he might become. Vladar has been worth every penny for Philadelphia so far. 8.5 goals saved above expected. 0.663 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. 6.6 goals saved above expected over his last 10 games. And he gives them a quality start 76.9% of the time. Those are really good numbers. And with the style that Philadelphia plays, which is they don't give you much and they don't take much, Vladar being able to save a lot more pucks than expected. So that is, your standard goals, and that should have gone in, but he saved it kind of thing. Vladar's been quite good there. Number 9. So this is where it's interesting for me too, because number 9, goaltender I like a lot. Shesterkin can be the best goaltender in hockey. He hasn't been this year. But he can be. 9.7 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, 0.538 goals saved above expected. Over his last 10 games, 6.1 goals saved above expected, and he gives them a quality start 61.1% of the time. The thing with Shesterkin, I don't know, he's still an excellent goaltender. He gives them the stats. It's just you always watch Igor play and think, he could be the best. It's just he's not quite there, but he can be the best. So that's your second column, as it were, on the board. Let's move into the top column. And it starts off with Washington's, not Lindgren, Logan Thompson. Overall, 12.6 goals saved above expected, 0.824 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. 5.1 goals saved above expected in his last 10 games played. And in terms of quality starts, 68.8% of the time. Thompson is another one of those goalies. He gives you the saves when you need him. He doesn't get rattled by a bad goal against. He doesn't get rattled by a bad game. And he's just an excellent all-around goaltender. So I've talked about Logan Thompson for years now. I think he's a really good goaltender. I think he's very much underrated. And if he's not on the Canadian Olympic team, I think there needs to be a forensic investigation into that, because I don't think this is close. Binnington did not make the top 16. Binnington's advanced numbers have not been good this year. Thompson's, in my opinion, got to be the goalie, but it's not going to happen. Number 7, Tampa Bay. Theo Hansen. No, obviously not. Number 7, Andrei Vasilevsky. Players say he's still the best goaltender in the NHL. Vasilevsky's numbers, 8.6 goals saved above expected, 0.549 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes played, 8.0 goals saved above expected the last 10 games, I should say. 62.5% of the time he gives Tampa a quality start. Bobrovsky didn't make the list. Bobrovsky's advanced numbers have not been great this year, but we know the end of the season. Ta-da! That's the thing. These are the power rankings. It's about who's playing the best right now. And Vasilevsky in the first column here doesn't surprise anybody. But goaltending in general in the NHL, while I've heard discussions over the last few years about it's not as good as it was, say, 10 years ago, the game's changed. I still think there's some excellent goaltenders, which brings us to 6. And I did have this debate, but I thought, I'm going to include Hellebuck in this one, and then 2 weeks from now, it'll be too long since his last game for me to actually include him in a power rankings. But this does show how Winnipeg loses a lot with Hellebuck out. Hellebuck's numbers, 12.5 goals saved above expected, 0.897 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, 8.0 goals saved above expected over his last 10 games, and he gives them a quality start 71.4% of the time. And as ridiculous as those numbers are, he's had better numbers too. So Connor Hellebuck being out for a while, like I said, I'm including him this week. He will not be included 2 weeks from now, as it'll just have been too long since the last time he played. And that's why with Demko I made that debate of should I not. It's been a couple of weeks since Demko was playing, and now he'll be back in a week or so. It's not a bad injury, right? Yeah, it's just going to keep him out for a month. It's not a bad injury. But yeah, Hellebuck, number 6, he'll be out for a month. So next power rankings for goaltenders, Hellebuck wouldn't be on there. Number 5, and if I had said the first week of the season that I was going to have Askarov as one of the top goaltenders on my first goaltender power rankings, there would have been laughter. Askarov started the season bad, but listen to these numbers. Overall, he has 9.2 goals saved above expected, 0.651 per 60 minutes. However, over his last 10 games, that number balloons to 10.5 goals saved above expected. So right now, which is the idea of a power rankings, is you're trying to compare sort of the right now, and there's some cumulative as well. That's why I've got Hellebuck in there. But yeah, Askarov right now has been fantastic. In terms of quality starts, 64.3% of the time that he starts, it's a quality start with Askarov. Number 4, every year I feel like Darcy Kuemper puts up really good numbers in the regular season, good enough that he gets onto a board like this. Playoffs can be a different story with Kuemper. But Kemper's numbers, undeniable. 11.7 goals saved above expected overall. 0.726 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes played. 11.5 goals saved above expected his last 10 games. And 56.3% in terms of quality starts. So quality starts a little bit lower than some of the other ones, but the overall numbers of him saving pucks that he's not expected to. Kemper's got really, really strong numbers. Number 3, and I debated about where to put him. I really did. So this is why I went with adding that last 10 games, because it hasn't felt like Spencer Knight's been as strong. But his overall numbers, 15.6 goals saved above expected. I checked, that's pretty good. 1.031 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. However, over his last 10 games, it's a 6.9 goals saved above expected. His quality starts, 60%. So if you've been wondering, is Spencer Knight facing a ton of really high quality opportunities? Yeah, probably, because his quality starts are only 60% lower than others, but his goal saved above expected per 60 minutes is above 1. So yeah, he's facing a lot of difficult chances in Chicago's net, and he's saving a lot of them, but he's 3rd on the list. Number 2, Jeremy Swayman. Swayman is a goaltender that a lot of people dunked on last year because he had a down year after getting that big contract. This year, goals saved above expected, 13.5. 0.896 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. 10.1 goals saved above expected over his last 10 games. And 80% of the time he starts, it's a quality start for Boston. So the overall numbers, Swayman playing pretty darn good. And the Boston Bruins are above the playoff line. I think at this point, they're still above the playoff line. Barely, and maybe they don't make it. But the reason they're in the mix, Swayman's a big part of that. Korpisalo hasn't been awful, but Swayman's definitely the starter at this point, and he looks pretty darn good. Which brings us to number 1. And I went back and forth on this one because Sorokin's numbers are kind of all over the place. But I'm going to put Sorokin up at number 1 because his recent run has been amazing. So Sorokin, 12.5 goals saved above expected. Per 60 minutes played, 0.834 goals saved above expected. 14.2 goals saved above expected in his last 10 games played. So prior to that, he was a negative, which is probably why his quality starts are only at 40%. However, since November 1st, his quality starts 57.1%. So, yeah, Sorokin's put up excellent numbers behind an Islanders team that has been middle of the pack in most areas. But, Sorokin has definitely given the goaltending that they need when they need it. So it's one of those things. It is difficult to rank goaltenders. I do not expect there to be unanimity in terms of who the best are or aren't. And it'll be a shame if Hellebuck's not on the next one, but he's not going to be on the next one. And that is if I do this again 2 weeks from today, talking about who I believe are the 16 goaltenders playing the best right now. That's kind of what this is meant for. And again, I had to include Hellebuck. I just felt like his injury was recent enough. I kind of had to have him on the board. But I just made a judgment call. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching, for your time, and I look fine today. All right, there you go. Thank you guys for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.